Good evening and welcome to the Hartland Township Planning Commission meeting of Thursday, November 16th, 2017. We'd like to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Keith, would you take roll, please?
Sure. Tom Murphy, Mike Mitchell, Sue Grissom,
Here.
Joe Kalani, Jeff Newsom,
Here.
and Larry Fox.
Here. Thank you. Next up is item 4, approval of our meeting agenda.
Make a motion to approve the meeting agenda.
Support.
We have a motion from Commissioner Voigt. We have a second from Commissioner Newsom. Are there any changes?
Just one. Under item 7, A and B needs to be swapped.
Okay. Everybody good with that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next up, approval of our September 14, 2017 meeting minutes.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion from Commissioner Grissom, second from Commissioner Newsom. Are there any changes?
Nope.
Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next up, approval of our September 28, 2017 meeting minutes.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion from Commissioner Newsom, second from Commissioner Voigt. Are there any changes? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next up is item 6. This is a call to the public. If you're here for item 7A or B, there'll be an opportunity during the public hearing if you would like to address the commission during that particular time. You're also welcome to now. But at this point, is there anybody that would like to come forward? Okay, seeing none, we'll close our call to the public, and we're going to move to item 7B, which is our special use permit number 17-016 for the Bella Vita, is that how you say it? Bella Vita Senior Living Facility. This is a public hearing, so we're going to break this application into two different sections of the agenda. We'll have our planning director explain that in a moment, but the first thing that we'll do is the actual special use that's required for the public hearing. And maybe, Troy, why don't I turn it over to you to explain that real quick, and then we'll move into that part.
All right. Officially open hearing.
I'm going to in a minute.
So this project requires two formal actions by the Planning Commission. One of them is action on a special use permit, and the second is action on the site plan itself. Sometimes the line between these two kind of blurs. The special use permit is for the use itself, the activity of a home for the aged or a nursing home in a residential district. Just to have that is only permitted by special use permit. So that'll be the first item that we'll discuss. And what I'll do is just generally outline kind of where the property is located, and outline a little bit about the special use permit, trying not to get too much into the site plan stuff, and be available for any questions. So what I'll do is show, this is an aerial.
Why don't you, okay, so you just explain the two steps. I'll open the public hearing now.
Okay, sure.
Okay,
Go
so
ahead.
what we'll do is, and could the record show that Commissioner Kalani arrived at 7:05? You're 5 minutes late.
And I told you I would be.
You did. So what we're going to do with the public hearing, as Troy explained, we'll talk about just the special use in this first part of the meeting. So the order of business in a public hearing is I'll open the public hearing in a moment. We'll turn the floor over to our planning director, who will give you an overview of the project. We'll then invite the applicant up to give us anything that they would like to talk about in regards to the use itself. We'll deal with the site plan later. And then we'll send him back to his seat or his representatives, and then we'll allow the public to come forward, any comments you'd like to make. Won't really be any exchange of answering your questions. We'll make note of it, and we'll get those answers later in the meeting, and then we'll close the public hearing, invite the applicant back up, and we'll kind of talk about everything that we just reviewed. So with that being said, I'd like to open the public hearing at 7:06 PM for the applicant HSLG LLC, parcel ID number 4708-22-400-018. The applicant is requesting approval to construct a nursing home facility of approximately 41,500 square feet in gross floor area in the CA Conservation Agricultural Zoning District on the north side of Highland Road and west of Arena Drive. And just for the record, all our public notice requirements have been met. So what we're going to do is now we're going to turn it over to Troy. And then when you're done, we're going to turn it over to our applicant.
Thank you. The property under consideration is on M59, with this being M59 on the bottom of this aerial. This is the property kind of highlighted in orange. It's a golf driving range currently right now. It would be just east of Arena Drive, this being Arena Drive going back to the ice arena, and I think Bounce Gymnastics is in that facility as well. So this is the property that's under consideration. It's about 20, almost 21 acre parcel. The zoning on this property, and this is a zoning map of the township. Again, for reference, here's M59, and this is the property. And you'll notice that the front portion of that is red, and the back majority of it is in the green color. So there's a split zoning on this property, and I'll try to zoom in to show you. I don't know if you can see, but at the approximate location of this property line to the neighboring property to the west is where that zoning line runs across so it's almost divided. The front quarter of it is commercial along M59, and then the back 3/4, and those are just my rough estimates, are CA, Conservation Agriculture, residential zoning. The applicant is proposing to construct their facility in this area here. A nursing home is permitted only by special use permit in this residential district. They are not permitted in this front portion that's zoned commercial. So they have they've moved the building back into this portion of the site here, and I've got a site plan. If I can pull it up. It's tilted a little bit so that you have M59 over here. Maybe I can rotate that so it's... So M59, at the bottom of the screen, you have a drive that comes in, and then you've got that approximate zoning boundary, and then here's their facility. It's a 41,000 square foot facility, and it's a home for the aged facility. I'm not going to get into trying to describe exactly what goes on there, but it's consistent with or comparable to our nursing home provisions, and the ordinance has specific special use permit standards outlined, and they've been included in the staff report for that. So the parking is in the back. The building is in this configuration with 2 courts, and the front portion remains undeveloped. Of course, keep in mind this would be zoned commercial in this portion of the site. And again, this facility is only permitted by special use permit in that residential district. So with that, I'll just leave it open for any questions or comments you've got on the SUP.
All right. I think what we'll do is turn the floor over to our applicant if you'd introduce yourself and anything that you'd like to add.
Chuck Sakrinas, representing HSLG. Address is 10751 South Saginaw, Grand Blanc, Michigan. Troy did a pretty good job of explaining what we're after here. I know the first part is a special land use. We are seeking to put our building in the CA zoning behind, not up in the commercial, so it does coordinate with what your ordinance states. HFA, or Home for the Aged, is a little less than a nursing home. Nursing home is more a public or public-funded state. Home for the Aged is private pay. We are just a step above what, more comparable to an assisted living. So assisted living, AFC, large group is up to 20 beds. Anything over 21 is considered Home for the Aged. We would be a state licensed facility. We feel there's a need. We've done market studies and that there is very good need for this product here. We are trying to stay consistent with the residential look, not commercial look of an institution. We do have enough property by going here. Originally, we were going to join up with Bob Schroeder at Mayberry Homes for the Newberry project, and we decided, because it's taken so long down there, that we went ahead and we built a project in Grand Blanc, and now we're going to come back to Hartland and do this one next instead of flip-flopping them. But it is zoned for us to allow that under a special land use. The front is going to be left vacant for right now until we get something. Our hope is something that would complement what we're putting there. We're not looking for a Taco Bell or Wendy's or anything like that to go there, because it doesn't complement what we're after. We like to keep the residential feel, and that's why our parking is in the back and our buildings are in the front. You kind of hide all that. So I feel that for what would fit great in Hartland, just like we did Grand Blanc, is a building of this size, single floor, and it's for assisted and memory care for seniors.
Okay, thank you very much. If you'd like to have a seat, I think, if the public, is there anybody in the public that would like to make any comments, any questions in regard to this project? Just here to learn today? Okay, good deal. I think what we'll do then is we'll close the public hearing at, that looks like about 7:13.
Yep.
And what we'd like to do now is go through the staff review letter. We'll have the applicant come back up, or anybody you'd like. We're going to just stick to pretty much the special use portion. So if we look at the staff letter that you have that's dated November 9th, there are just a couple pages that relate to the actual special use. We'll get through the special use piece and we'll see how we feel about it. There's a motion at the back of the letter that we would take care of that at this time if we feel. And then we'll move on to the site plan. So if we use the letter dated from staff, and we start on packet page number 14, you'll see about halfway down, special land use review, general standards. Troy, you want to walk us through this real quick? And,
Sure.
And we'll obtain any feedback or questions at that time.
So there are two sets of special use permit standards. One are general standards that apply to all special use permits, and then the second set are special use permit standards specifically for nursing home or convalescent home facilities. So in going through the general special use permit standards, one of the first ones is that the project is harmonious and in accordance with the objectives, intent, and purpose of this ordinance. And what we've provided there in the italics is the applicant's response. They provided a letter outlining that, and that's something the Planning Commission should discuss, is do they feel it's harmonious and in accordance with the objectives. The staff certainly feels that a single-story facility such as this on property like this that is essentially buffering, I'll go back to this aerial. This is the property you've got here. On the west side, you've got a ice hockey arena and gymnastics, and then this is primarily office type activity. To the north is your residential up here, and then this is M59. That this serves as a good transition when you move away from M59 towards the residential. So staff certainly feels that this would be harmonious with the intent of the ordinance in this location.
Any thoughts on that?
Agree.
Yeah.
The next one is be compatible with the natural environment and existing and future land uses in the vicinity. The existing environment, as you can see, is it's largely an open area. I'm going to zoom in on just that property so you can kind of see it. It's a golf driving range, so the vast majority of the center portion of this is open, well, it's a golf driving range, and then you've got a wooded area on the western boundary, and then on the northern portion there's a creek that goes through here. There's some wetland or floodplain and/or floodplain associated with that, but the area we're talking about is in this vicinity here, and it certainly appears to be compatible with the existing environment that's on this property.
Everybody good with that? Good. Okay.
The next one is compatible with the Hartland Township Comprehensive Plan. The future land use and comprehensive plan depict this land very similar to the zoning, with the front quarter of it in a commercial category and the back half or back 3/4 in a residential category. I think it actually is a multiple family or a higher density single family. So this being permissible in a residential district would certainly be consistent with the future land use comprehensive plan.
Good? Good. Everyone good? All right, Troy.
Be served by adequate essential facilities, public services, highways, streets, police, fire, drainage, refuse disposal. The applicant is proposing to extend water and sewer to serve this, so it would be served with essential public and water. It would also be served with an M59 with access there. And certainly the fire department has commented on this as well.
Okay. Everyone good with that? All right. Good.
The next one is that it is not detrimental, hazardous, or disturbing to an existing or future neighboring use, person, property, or the public welfare. So we're holding a public hearing tonight. We've notified all surrounding properties within 300 feet. The only existing residential is to the north. And then you've got office and almost a commercial facility here, and then it's undeveloped over here. It certainly appears to be not a detriment to any of the surrounding activities or uses around this property.
Okay. Everybody good with that? All right, we're good.
The last one is that it would not create additional requirements at public cost for public facilities and services that will be detrimental to the economic welfare of the community. The applicant is extending water and sewer at their own cost to service this facility. Fire department has commented, and there doesn't appear to be any additional cost that would be incurred by the community as a result of having this facility that would be detrimental to the community.
Okay. Everybody good? All right, we're good.
So those are the general special use permit standards that apply. Because of this proposed use, there are specific standards in section 4.23 of the ordinance. The first one there is that the facility shall have frontage and access on a paved arterial or collector road. In this case, it has access on M59.
So we're good.
You're good.
The second item is that the principal building and all accessory buildings shall meet a 75-foot setback from all property lines. In this case, there is an item that does not comply with that provision. So bear with me here as I try to, this is the proposed building, again, M59 at the bottom. In addition to this building, the applicant is proposing a garage, a detached garage in this vicinity, and I'm not sure how well it shows up. I'll try to zoom in here. This dotted or dashed line would represent that 75-foot setback, and it almost bisects this proposed garage. You can see the proposed care facility does comply with the setback, but this garage right here would be located at about 63 feet from the west property line.
What is there to the west again? Well, that's
That is, it's an undeveloped
an undeveloped parcel.
office over here. There's an office here, and then this is the ice rink gymnastics place.
Is it, can you move it?
We can.
You can move it
We can move
to
it back
comply?
by the dumpster.
Okay. So they'll move
We'll
it
comply.
to, they'll comply to the 75 feet. Okay, so item 3?
The last one is a open space requirement of 1,500 square feet of outdoor open space for every bed in the facility. Based on the number of beds being about 78, they're required to have about 117,000 square feet of open space. They have approximately 182 over 182,000 square feet, so they meet that open space requirement.
Okay. Everybody good with that? So that would wrap up the criteria that we would use for the special use.
Yep.
So what we would typically do is decide whether we're comfortable with a special use on this parcel, and then we get into our site plan review.
Okay.
So if you're so inclined, there is a motion on packet page number 26 that would contain the motion that you would need for this.
I move to recommend the Township Board approve site plan with special land use application number 17-016 for the construction of a nursing home, approximately 41,500 square feet in the size, to be located north of Highland Road, east of Arena Drive, currently addressed as 11579 Highland Road, based on the following findings. Planning Commission has determined the proposed special use, a nursing home care facility, meets the intent and purpose of the ordinance as well as the specific special use standards outlined in section 6.6, as a nursing home is a residentially related use which is permitted as a special land use in the CA Conservation Agricultural Zoning District. 2, the Planning Commission has determined the proposed use enhances the natural environment with the incorporation of a diverse mix of landscape material as part of the project, which will also be a benefit to future land uses in the area. 3, the Planning Commission has determined the proposed use is compatible with the Hartland Township Comprehensive Plan, which designates this area as multiple family residential nursing care facilities are permitted, and nursing care facilities are permitted as a special land use in single family and multiple family zoning districts. 4, the Planning Commission has determined the proposed use is adequately served by essential facilities and public works. Public water and sanitary sewer will be extended to serve the proposed facility and has the potential to serve future expansions of the use. The Planning Commission has determined the proposed use is adequately served by an existing roadway, being Highland Road, and the Fire Authority has no objections. I'm all right. Number 5. The Planning Commission has determined the proposed use is low impact to the community and will not be detrimental, hazardous, or disturbing to the existing or future neighboring uses, persons, or the public welfare. The low-intensity use serves as a buffer between potential commercial/offices uses along with Highland Road and adjacent single-family zoning to the north and east. Number 6, the Planning Commission has determined the proposed use will be an economic asset to the community and will not create an additional requirements at public cost or public facilities as the proposed facility will be privately run and maintained. Do I need to read the rest of it?
Yeah, I think you probably.
Okay, and the proposed nursing home care facility shall obtain site plan approval and maintain the site in compliance with the approved site plan, as well as all associated conditions.
And also
Which
will
we-
comply with the setback on the west side.
And will also comply with the setback on the west side of the property.
Okay, do we have a second on that?
I'll support that.
Okay, we have a motion to recommend approval to the Township Board for site special use permit 1706 from Commissioner Voigt, second from Commissioner Newsom. Any further
have a-
discussion? Yep.
At the beginning of the presentation of the motion, it was approved the site plan with special land use. Are we approving just the special use, or are we approving the site plan?
The special use.
Official use for right
Then
now.
I think that needs to be clarified, because the motion that was read as moved to recommend the Township Board to approve the site plan with special land use, and we haven't gotten to the site plan first.
The board doesn't approve the site plan, so that
Correct.
should just be
Yeah.
struck. So the move to recommend the
They
Township
read
Board
the wrong
approve
one.
special land use
Okay.
application.
I read the wrong one.
No, you didn't.
Nope.
You're correct.
Okay.
Okay.
With that, I have no objection.
All right. Now, is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Congratulations on the first step. Now we will pick up the site plan review, which is probably the significant part of the meeting this evening. That begins on packet page number 16. About halfway down, you'll see site plan review, applicable site standards. The first page there is the site description. We've pretty much reviewed all of that, its location, its size. Troy introduced that project to us, so as we flip to packet page number 17, we see there's an impact assessment. Troy, any comments on that?
So the applicant has provided an impact assessment, which indicates there's the Ore Creek to the north, kind of in the northeast corner. I'll zoom in on just that so you can kind of see it. The creek as it meanders through the property, and then they're not proposing any site work in this area. The stormwater runoff that they're proposing will be captured on the site, so their site impact assessment indicates no negative environmental impacts are anticipated with this project.
Any questions on that? Okay. Traffic generation, looks like you're pretty low impact as far as traffic.
We are.
Okay, looks like 120 to 150 a day, mainly workers and visitors. Dimensional requirements in the CA Conservation Agricultural District. First up is lot size. We don't really have one defined, but we have a large piece of property and we have a lot of open space still left, so I don't know if there's too much to comment on that. The frontage, again, we don't have one, but if we look at the requirements for farming and single family in the 200 to 300 range, we've got 565 feet here. Probably fairly adequate for what they're proposing. Any comments on that? Okay, building setbacks. The main building, the large facility itself, is meeting all the setback requirements that we would have in the district. The attached garage does, now that they're going to move it to 75 feet. Do you have an idea how you might do that? Are you going to pull it in or relocate it on the site? How?
Pull that back up. Northwest corner, right there is where it'll go,
Okay,
back by the dumpster.
okay. Any comments on that? All right, building height, looks like we're in compliance on our building height. Lot coverage, you're not covering much of it, so you're in compliance there. We're over to some of the site requirements now. I'm at the bottom of packet page number 18, dumpster enclosure. Troy, what's your comment there? To be determined.
So they have a dumpster enclosure that is required to match the materials on the building. They have a 6-foot-high brick dumpster enclosure that does match the building. The reinforced gates are vinyl boards, and then the landscaping around the side of it. The question is more or less on the landscaping around the dumpster and whether that's going to be sufficient. Maybe I can move to a landscape plan. So this is the back portion, kind of where I was pointing to where the detached garage is going to go. This is where their dumpster enclosure is, and there's not enough landscaping in there that, or the landscaping they had proposed is something the staff wanted to draw to your attention on this. Is that going to be sufficient for this type of a dumpster?
So the brick is matching the brick on the building?
Correct.
Same brick? I'm going to turn it over to Sue at the moment.
Right. And just as a general comment, we're looking at our ordinance right now, requirements, and we're finding that you've got it adequately screened really well. You've added some landscaping on the south side, and we feel that's, sufficient.
Would everybody agree?
With us moving the garage back there, I'm sure there's going to be some landscaping put around there.
Around the garage, yeah.
Yeah, something will happen there, but for the most part, is everybody comfortable with that? We'll see what their new design looks like with the building moved and the dumpster enclosure and how the landscaping changes. Comments on that? Anything? Okay, so now I'm moving up to the top of page 19. We're on off-street parking. By calculation, they're required to have 41 spaces. They're providing 49, so they're meeting the requirements. The barrier-free, they're supposed to have at least one space van accessible, one for every 25 parking spaces. They're providing 4, so they're in excess of the requirement, which probably in this facility is a good idea. Parking lot, driveway, internal road setbacks. We need to have a discussion. Troy, could you bring us up on the screen with the east side property line and the internal road?
So I'll just stick with the landscape plan. So the drive that comes in from M59, it comes in almost in the center. It's using the existing curb cut that's there, so it's somewhat centrally located in the site. Then it comes in, it meanders to the east, and as it comes up in here, it's in this location where it's only 18 feet from this east property line. It's required to be 20 feet. So this drive through this area here is the portion of it that does not comply.
Comments?
Can you move it over 2 more feet to comply? It looks like,
How about, it's pretty tight, I'm not sure you have a lot of room, but if, I might be willing to compromise if you were willing to add a curb cut and have access capability for a future lot to the east.
Oh,
So cross-access easement basically is what I'm asking for, so that,
So not knowing though what, not to go that route, but not knowing what would go to the east. And right now, we have to deal with MDOT on what's our traffic count coming out on our site. I don't want to open up a can of worms. If I may, I have my civil engineer.
Sure, absolutely, ask.
Yeah, I would be concerned with allowing access. I think maybe in the future, but as far as currently with MDOT, if you don't have a need for it now, I would be concerned of offering that. this is a private road. That parcel has access to M59, so I would be more inclined to move the road 2 feet than go down the other path.
Okay.
That's fine. Can you go ahead and move that 2 feet for us then? Okay.
Yes.
All righty. Loading spaces, there is one on the plan. Troy, your comment, whether additional would be required. Are you saying that our ordinance would require that? Is that why you're...
They are required to have a loading space that is 10 feet by 50 feet for up to 5,000 square feet of gross floor area. This exceeds 5,000 square feet, so it says they're required to have 2 loading spaces for the proposed 41,500 square foot building based on that ratio. They have the 1 space that is 10 by 70, so it's a little bigger than what they've got. In the past, the township has accepted, well, you don't get a lot of these type of facilities, but for other commercial operations, they've accepted that type of an arrangement, and I just want to make sure I'm pointing that out to the Planning Commission here.
What kind of deliveries do you get? Are they big trucks or?
We have usually food delivery once a week, and we have some medical stuff. Other than that, we're not a restaurant or retail store that's getting deliveries all the time.
Yeah. Do your other facilities just have 1 loading space and
We
get
have
by?
the same thing in Grand Blanc.
Do you? It gets by just fine?
Yes.
Everybody okay with 1?
And I'm okay with 1.
I'm okay with, we're good with 1. Access management, non-residential driveway standards. Troy, once again, you've got down this to be determined.
Yeah, there's, this plan probably shows a little better. They've got, there is an existing curb, call it a curb cut onto M59. They are making some improvements to that. It's in the general location. My verbal discussion with MDOT, they don't see any problems with it, but permit will be needed for any work within the right-of-way here. And more or less just to identify to the applicant to make sure they're aware that this, even though it's already there, they're going to need a permit from MDOT to improve that existing drive.
One thing we've been doing along M59, and we didn't talk in our informal site plan review committee meeting, is that extra wide paved shoulder that's on the high side of the curb. I don't know how wide it is, maybe 8 foot wide piece of asphalt. It's on your plan right there. It's part of your MDOT permit. We've been having everybody remove it. So your grass will come right up to the curb.
I'm all for that.
It's not an attractive thing,
No.
and nobody is comfortable walking on the curb with traffic flying by at the speeds that
We'd
it
love
does.
to remove it.
So if you would include that as part of your permit.
We have an application into MDOT already.
Yeah, they won't tell you to take it out. They're going to let you take it out. They've let everybody else take it out, but you have to put it on as your application.
Absolutely.
So, and then I guess the question comes up, do we need a sidewalk on M59 or the bike path,
Yeah.
which we typically would have. And on that side of the road, it's 8 foot asphalt, I believe. And you could take a look at, get with Troy and look at the KFC, the Sherwin-Williams, the Mug and Bops, all of them. And KFC has it. AutoZone, they've all got it. So you just copy what they have.
Not a problem.
Okay. So I guess we're up to landscaping. And our first item in landscaping is landscaping greenbelt. Not applicable as noticed or as noted below. Troy, any comments on that?
On the greenbelt, this is this drive that goes through here is not truly a private road. They didn't go through the process of getting a private road approved in front of the Planning Commission and the Township Board. It acts like a private road. It's more of an internal service drive for this development. And so what we've done is tried to get canopy trees along it in a similar fashion as you would on a private road, but keep in mind, technically, it's not a private road. One of the areas that we ran into some problems is in this east side. You can't really see on a landscape plan, but there's a water main that will come up through here, and this, even if they move it over 2 feet, it's going to be really tight to install trees over on this side, just so you know. So that's why we wanted to identify, we're somewhat applying these standards, treating it like a private road, but keep in mind that it's not technically a true private road. So just wanted to point that out.
Okay. Any comments from the commission on that component?
I want to go back to the green belt, okay, that we're kind of talking about.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that?
Oh.
My understanding with the green belt is we need one along M59 because that's the public road, and I know you've got a bunch of landscape in between. But I think along M59, like we do with the Meyer development and all that, we just develop that green belt as the property's being developed. And I don't see any of that here, and I just want to clarify if that was the intent. That's my understanding.
Well, what they've done in this case is they've put this area right here in front of their building, and I think that's a good discussion for the Planning Commission to have. I don't know that the ordinance specifically addresses a situation like this where you've got a building further back and land to be developed. Commissioner Grissom did point out some other sites that in those cases where landscaping was required, those were PDs, and that I wasn't involved with the PD and the discussion on how that went. This is not a PD. Maybe that's a differing development process. So I think it's a worthy discussion for the Planning Commission to have. But this is their green belt on the front of their building. Commissioner Grissom is mentioning along all of M59 and whether a green belt should be installed there.
So just let me clarify it one more round, because when I read it, and we're overhauling our landscape ordinance, so I want to keep consistency here. The way that the green belt is written, it says within the first 30 feet of the property on a public or private road. So the first 30 feet, the way I read it on a public road, is right there along 59. We can clarify this later, but that's because we're overhauling all this. That's how I read it. It says within the first 30 feet on a public or private road. That's the question.
Yeah, and I would agree with Troy, just in the case of the Meyer project being a PD.
Right.
We had all that landscaping installed up front. We had all those outlots, and it was part of the PD, the negotiated program that went between the applicant and the township. Are you thinking you're going to split that parcel off? I mean, I'm thinking you're going to have an office building there with some medical or something in it.
That's our intention. So that was the original thought is if we,
If you do
I
that.
set the office buildings up to have the parking in the back and leave the buildings up front, because I'm not one for seeing commercial parking in the front. That's the buffer now between that parcel and the parcel we're doing. Then when that time comes, then we would do the buffer out front.
Sure.
And I'm thinking the buffer up along, I hear what you're saying, Sue,
Yeah,
for
I'm just
sure.
trying to-
I'm thinking that the landscaping along 59 would probably come in when the office building came, and this would be the landscaping between these two buildings. So their parking lot in this building is the way I would see it. I don't know.
Okay.
That would be my opinion. I don't know anybody else.
We're trying to design everything for future
Yep.
and taking consideration of lot splits and office buildings.
Sure.
So, with the road and landscape, we're kind of going beyond right now of what we probably should be.
Right.
Comment, you okay with it the way
Yeah,
it's?
no, I agree with the way it's presented.
Okay, all right. I'm envisioning that dotted line's probably right about somewhere close where that lot split's going to occur.
You're correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Foundation landscaping, I guess I'd like to do is probably to be determined. Troy, you want to give us some information on that real quick?
So, this is the building, and there is proposed mulch beds and landscaping around the building. There are some things that are going to have to be updated. Their plant list, there's some things that we've identified and talked with them that this would need to be changed. Some of the species are listed. They are the same species, but they're listed as different sizes, and some of the items identified on here aren't necessarily listed on the plant list as well. But effectively, there's a calculation on the building perimeter and how much landscaping is needed. One of the things that we're attempting to do as we update the ordinance on landscaping is to minimize the landscape mulch bed area if possible. And so what I wanted to do is just kind of point out what we've got here, and if you think that there's too much mulch bed around here or not enough, and kind of leave it for discussion for the Planning Commission.
Okay, any comments?
So you have more than ample foundation planting, all around the whole building. We see that. I think one of the comments that was brought by the planning department was just the quantity of small ornamental trees, or trees, they found that was a bit deficient.
Yep.
It's a large, low scale, low height residential building, but it does need some more trees. So maybe there's a way it can be just looked at to reduce beds, because we only need 60%, but to incorporate something larger than just so many shrubs around the whole foundation. So maybe when you guys look at that, just look at that holistically, to get some trees so things are a little more in scale, but we're not asking for more. It'll be a trade-off. Okay?
We'll work with the Planning
Just to
Commission.
work that through, because I think you'll be happier with that than this line of low around this long building. Does that make sense?
It does.
Less shrubs, more small trees.
Yeah, just to get things in scale a little more and not asking for more, because you have more than enough foundation.
Okay. Any other comments on foundation planning? I assume that'll take care of the south and the east side,
Yeah.
all of the
Just
foundation
one-
planning, the general
exactly.
comment?
Yeah.
Okay. Clear on that, or can work with that one?
Yeah.
Okay. Parking lot landscaping, we're on item C, which is the bottom of page packet 21. Troy, we're not meeting the requirements. What do we got going on here?
So this is primarily in the parking lot islands. 50% of it must include small or medium shrubs as well as perennials, which are not provided. So we're just talking the islands within the parking lot area here.
Okay. Well, that would be an easy one to fix. I guess when you redraw and move the shed, the accessory garage over, I think you're over 10 spaces up at the top too, so maybe you can get that within alignment of, I think we allow 10 in a row, so maybe when that building goes in there, something might shift a little bit.
So you're thinking it needs another island?
Well, we need every 10 is the maximum run without an island, and it looks like there's over 10 when I counted them
I think we
yesterday.
can go up to 14. I could be wrong.
Okay,
I thought so. I thought it's like less than 50.
okay. If it's 14, then we're good.
But,
14.
yeah, that's what I
14,
recall.
then we're at it.
But what we do need is that the landscape islands, the minimum dimension is 10 foot wide. I think you've got them, at least on your site plan, you had like a 4-foot radius, so I believe you've got them 8 foot wide. So if you could just check that part out, make sure that we're trying to provide enough room for the trees.
It's one space, face of curb to face of curb, so, yeah, I suppose the internal radius is,
Back of curb to back of curb.
would be less.
Face of curb to face.
We
is
have
10
room,
feet.
we can slide, we have,
Yeah, I think you have room, you can
Ample
get that
parking.
done.
you want a grassed green space that's 10 feet wide, back of curb to back of curb.
Inside the
So that
island.
You're 14 feet face to face. Or-
Yeah, outside to outside.
Outside to
Yeah.
outside. That's fine, there's one feet.
Okay,
Okay.
that would be good just to help.
well, you're not going to change the forms. You're going to use the, yeah, well,
Well, they could,
they're 18
they
inches. So it'll
they have
be
8 extra space.
13 feet outside.
Yeah, but he can move the outside curbs of the whole thing out
Yeah.
a couple feet, and you probably don't even change the number of parking places by
No.
doing that. You're just going to
No.
spread the parking lot a little
We'll
bit.
just
Yeah.
slide the two eases in.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Yeah.
You're just going to, whoops, where is the,
Yeah. We'll
there, you're
get
just going to
those-
push these out a little bit.
Yeah.
These ends, or whatever you got to do to get that 4 feet
Yeah,
wider.
we'll make 10 feet of green space.
Yeah.
Back.
Good.
That's,
Okay.
Sounds good.
Perimeter landscaping, not applicable. Screening of ground-mounted equipment, looks like we're meeting the requirements. Detention, retention, landscaping, we're meeting. General site, landscaping, we're meeting. So are there any other comments on landscaping?
I have to make one other comment just to look, because when you put together your plans, your pole light plan, if I read it correctly, the pole lights aren't shown on your landscape plan, but when I tried to kind of say where are the lights going, I believe in that northernmost parking lot island, there's a pole light right where the tree is. So when we get there, we'll just look at that, but I think there's a conflict, and when you do resubmit or whatever you do, just put the pole lights on the same plan so we can see how things work together, but I think there's a conflict where that one light is.
We'll address it.
Yeah, no big deal, it's just...
The lighting was
make-
done by electrical.
Yeah,
contractors.
and they could do with their photometrics and all of that, so it's, moving things around.
Okay, sidewalks and pathways, we've got some requirements, some proposals, and it looks like they're meeting the requirements on those. Any questions on sidewalks? Lighting, to be determined. Troy, can you give us I think we're talking about some sidewalk lighting here, is that it?
Yeah, there's a maximum of 0.5 foot candle, and they've got where they're over that in some certain areas. So,
Can you pull that up? Because I looked at the photometric plan, and,
yep, if you...
I mean, you
bear
get dizzy
with me.
reading them, so I'm like, where is he talking about? See what I
It's
mean?
even worse now.
I mean, usually we've just said, you got to get it in, and they just comply, they can do it. So I'm just wondering where the issue is.
So, bear with me here.
Do you think we can comply? I mean, it doesn't seem like it's that far
I
off.
didn't know there was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's by the main building entrance.
Okay.
Is that for
Side?
safety reasons, though?
Well, it's the number
I
that we
can't
use on our
comment as
general
to why
commercial
it's,
stores. It's like what's on the front
Written
line.
there.
I would think you'd want your entrance illuminated.
We do.
Oh, you can,
Up
it's
to
just that
5.
there's a maximum of it, and they set an average for certain areas on the site, and the average can't exceed a certain amount by the entrance. That part can be greater illuminated than other parts of the site, but it still has a maximum that it can be. And I'm trying to find that, you can see how complicated these plans are to look at. You can almost, it's just a series of numbers to look at here, but it's in this, by this main entrance here where it was slightly higher. A lot of times it's just by repositioning the light, sometimes you can affect that.
It would seem to be by fixture D to the left of the entrance.
Oh, yeah,
There's
good
some
catch.
elevated, right in there, yeah.
Yeah.
You're thinking ratios from one to the other are your concerns?
So it's just-
It's just an average
I think it might
of
be
that. So what we typically do is if we can get an average from the company that does a photometric, we'll take that. Otherwise, we're looking at these numbers within so many feet of that fixture and kind of adding them up ourselves. So I'm guessing it's right in this area here that we were over the 0.5.
D could be dropped down to a C, which
Yeah,
is a
the
little
D,
less of a light.
the D to the right has the same issue.
It looks like it's all around, it's the parking lot lights, and I know that what they've done is they've just dialed them down a little bit. All our commercial buildings all our parking lots are within compliance, so I'm guessing it's just a
We can have them
selection of the,
from B's to C's to comply.
that'll just fall right in line.
Not a problem.
Not found anybody that can't comply with it, and haven't heard any complaints that it's not too, that it is too dark. Fixture height, probably just something you need to fix. 25 feet, not 27. Is there a reason why they're 27, do we know?
I think they're going to be 25.
Okay. All righty. We've got some that are even 16. I don't know if you've ever used the short, but you probably need a few more of them also if
It
you're
was
going.
getting the light coverage. If you go
Yep.
too low, it's hard to get.
Yep. Okay, so you comply with the 25.
Comply with the 25.
All right, get that taken care of. We're looking at some light fixture types. I believe these are the decorative lights at the entrance. There was a picture of them provided in our packet.
It's a sconce. You keep in mind, our lighting standards are generally designed for commercial. This is a residential appearance, if I can say that, building. And commercial standards are that the light bulb is not protruding out of the light fixture in any way. And in this you rarely see a residential light that is designed that way. These light fixtures have a bulb kind of in the middle there. Just want to make sure the Planning Commission is okay with that.
I would be, because I'm not seeing hot spots on the plan where those fixtures are located. So I don't think you're
Not on this plan.
Oh, are they not? Okay,
We're
that's
trying to create that residential feel. That's why
Yeah.
we stuck like you would have at your house.
Right.
Your porch lights and that, and they're a little larger because of the building, but
Yeah.
more that resort homey feel.
How many of them are there, do you know? Are they just at the front door?
They're at each exit door to look like a residential door, and
Okay.
then they're on the entrance on the column, on our canopy, and up by the building by the entry door.
Okay. What do you
And you
think?
would be able to see them when I show you the video of what the building would look like.
Okay. Are there any thoughts on that?
Fine.
Seems fine. Jeff? Joe? You all right with those?
Is the elevations here similar to the, we have a virtual tour on your senior living on your website. Is that the same plan?
exterior, the virtual, I
Yeah.
actually brought with me the actual building in Grand Blanc that would be built here.
Can you put that up or show that?
I guess you're skipping over line.
Yeah, we'll stick to the lighting, and then when we get to the landscaping, you will have already gone through it, so we'll be able to talk about that.
Was that what we're talking about?
We're on lighting at the
Sorry,
moment.
I was getting to the elevation.
Oh, yeah.
Well, but I
Well, we
think
could hit the lighting real quick. It is just, do you mind in putting a residential light fixture on this?
that.
Okay, you all right with it?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
All right, we're okay with the light
Okay.
fixture.
I want to get to the elevation.
Is your
Okay, so now we're on water supply, wastewater disposal. I'm at packet page 24. That's already been discussed, that they are extending those services. We are now on architectural building materials. Probably the thing to do is show us the
Okay. Can you switch it
presentation
to-
that you have, and then we'll go through deficiencies and where you're exceeding.
Am I on the right camera? Is your image up?
Mine's on my screen.
All right. I have to find which one of these it is, so.
We're all going to hover around his laptop.
There it is.
There you go.
So as you see, the stone that you see on the building is what we've brought. The brick's what we brought. The siding is 95% the same color as what we have here. The white trim, and then the copper-looking roofs.
When you say 95%, what do you mean?
It's because this is a hardy plank product that we're proposing for this project. Bella Vita of Grand Blanc was a decorative vinyl sided product.
Okay.
That's why it's a little different.
Okay.
So what is your sample? Hardy board or?
Hardy.
Yeah, that looks like hardy board.
We did change, and the Hartland project will have more stone around the front elevation of the building instead of siding and along on the other side. So we did go from siding product to stone product. This building here in Grand Blanc is the same way. It faces Hill Road, and the parking lot's in the back. I'll see if I can move along a little bit. So there's just some look at the products.
Those landscape beds are too big.
So I said there's plenty and it's little, not in scale.
And if I go too fast, just let me know and I'll be glad to slow it down, stop. We do white trim around the windows. If it's brick or stone, it gets limestone sills and headers. The rooms all have P-TEC units underneath of them for the heating source, as you would in a hotel. You can see the different elevations, the 11-foot walls on the corners versus the 9-foot walls. So it gives it that break-up look with the hip roofs and all that. This drive, well, let me go back just to give you an idea. In the Hartland project that we're proposing, this is the same similar drive setup. It comes along the memory side, but there's a lot more room because we have the fencing area and the courtyard and all that out there. But it's the same concept. And then on the north side of the building, these are 25-foot poles and they're almost flat to the ground. They're not on a 2-foot base. Our little 42-inch bollard lights that light up the sidewalk at night.
Is the entry feature on the drawing we have, ours looks different than this one, is it?
Yours shows a dotted line, but this is the steel canopy. You can see the coach lights on the columns. And then under the canopy, there's LED lights that light up the bottom inside of the canopy at night, and that light then kind of disperses, and
So that would be the same?
it'd be identical.
Is identical?
Yes. All the cupolas, the big cupolas up on top, are just decorative features. The windows are frosted out, but there's a glow. So at night, there's lights in there. There's one light in each one to give it just a faint look of a light in there. But the windows are frosted. You cannot see in. You can't see any studs or anything.
So they don't bring any kind of natural light in, obviously?
No. They're just in the attic. Then looking over, this would be the assisted living side. Same setup here. It'd be the west side of the property. The courtyard, the walk that goes in. There'll eventually be a gazebo in the middle for our residents. And then natural stone water drainage to the storm drain that's in the courtyard here. We have two rooftops that heat the main structure. One's on the assisted side and the other's on the memory. And from the ground, from the road, you cannot see any of those units. They're tucked back in there. And this would be the memory side, so our residents can come out here and they're not going to elope. They have to go back in the building. The building's locked down 24/7 unless the fire alarm goes off. And then there'll be 2 gazebos out here. And then this here is a rain wall system that the water trickles out of this structure, just for sound, memory. Patients need sound and activity, and so that's why we're trying to create these kind of features for them. So looking into the courtyard and the assisted, same concept here. We have not finished this yet, but the identical to what we're proposing for Hartland and the island here is a waterfall. The water goes down through the bridge to a recirculating koi pond down here. Then it gets pumped back up and it just flows continuously. Parking lot setup's pretty much the same. The only thing different in what we're proposing in Hartland is there's parking spaces right here. Where in Grand Blanc, we only needed like 32 spaces for their ordinance. And I think we've got 38. We're all about having more, because when you have parties, events, you always get that extra traffic.
That's a good depiction of the level scale of the loading zone too. It's obviously sufficient. So. And it gets you past the entrance, so you're out of the way of oncoming.
Is that your generator there on the left?
It is, and for Hartland, it actually sits over here. This is the only spot we could put it in this project, so we had to put it here.
I had a question because I was reading through there, and are those loud when they're running?
No.
No? Okay. I mean, that's a big generator because you're powering that facility.
Right.
I was looking at the size.
Yep, and we do have, I think, adequate landscape. We have more landscaping in the Hartland project around it than we do here. We may change this, we're not sure. So that's, in a nutshell, the building. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Are you proposing a fence like on this one?
I don't think there's a fence on our plan. I didn't
The
see
only
one.
fence is along the memory side, and that's a 6-foot black aluminum wrought iron style fence. It's not a white enclosed vinyl.
It's on the east property line?
East property line, along the drive.
We were tight to residential here on the left side, and so there was existing hodgepodge of fence, both on the east side and the north side, and so Chuck agreed to take theirs down and put all of it around. It was more driven.
There was vinyl, one style of wood, another style of wood, and chain link.
In the township, but this doesn't warrant it other than protection of the.
Yeah, no, I don't think we would want you to put boundary fences up.
Yeah, and it was required here.
Yeah. And I think your project's probably better looking for a nice continuous looking new fence.
Yes, it is.
Well, let's touch on these areas here in the architecture that we've got going. I'm on packet page number 24. The first chart being materials group 1. We've got some brick minimums, we've got some stone maximums. Looks like they're over on they're fine within the stone. They're under on the brick itself. Comment to that has been that given the building materials have changed since our architectural requirements were in there, we've been combining a lot of stone and calling it masonry products, so as long as combined we're getting in the realm of where we needed to be, we were good. Would we be comfortable with that in the pictures you're seeing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so then I will move down to the materials group 1 for the detached garage. Looks like it's pretty much just sided.
It is.
So is that what your intentions are with it? Are there any thoughts on that? Comfortable with that? Do you want some stone on it?
Further in the back, and I think it's fine.
Fine with it? You all right? Okay. Colors, saw in there, you mentioned, is this what we're looking at here? This
Yes.
is the brick, stone, the hardy board,
Correct.
the shingle. What color is the metal on that you're going to use in Hartland?
It's copper.
With that copper
It's
look.
not, it's the copper color,
looking.
but it's steel roofing.
Yeah. A little bit outside of our normal neutral range, but are you comfortable with it? Are you not comfortable with it? Where are you with color?
What color, is it going to be similar to the one in the picture?
You said this one's a little darker,
Identical to this building right here.
so it's a little, this is a little darker.
Actually, it looks better
than
on
that.
the computer than it does on your monitor there, but it's a little clearer here if you want me to bring the laptop up there.
It's also going to match the canopy over the walk also, correct?
Correct.
The canopy over the walk's copper, yeah, the copper tone.
It's black, yeah, the canopy's black, bent steel with wood cedar tone underside, and then metal roof.
Yeah, I don't know why I can't see that detail right when I look at the print. It just must be me. And that's why, because I remember that feature.
He's got a copy of the sidings down there. that-
Yeah.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
if you can see that.
So I guess my question is, are you comfortable with the color palette that's been selected or being proposed? Everyone comfortable with it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you're good.
Thank you.
Yep. We are on the brick product. That's clay brick. I think that was just a terminology type thing going on there. The architectural waiver that we actually have, I just want to touch on it. I think it was okay in the wording. You all have it in your packet there, the requesting one. We would need to, if we so choose to approve this, we would need to add that as a condition that we are accepting the architectural waiver dated October 12th from them. What they're asking for is the brick and the hard surface, the stone, that we combine all those and that they're meeting their 30% minimum requirement. We've said we've accepted that. And they're also over on some of the lap siding, but we're agreeing that the pictures are very attractive and we'll accept as proposed. Thank you for putting the hardy board on there, by the way.
No problem. Thank you.
So is everybody comfortable with all of that? Comment on the signage, that's administratively approved. I think we talked in our site plan review committee meeting that might get a little tricky for you putting that out on 59 and other buildings coming in and how that all works. So we're going to leave that to staff and you to figure that out.
Okay.
But this site right now is one site and it's going to be entitled to one sign.
Correct.
You start splitting it and then another site will get its sign. But if you start putting three uses on there and all of a sudden you don't expand at the back, split that off and something else goes there, there's no signage allowance for that site at the back up on 59.
Correct. We talked
But we'll
about
let
that.
you guys, yep, we'll let you guys work that out internally here with staff. Other requirements, Hartland DPW is recommending approval with the contingencies in their letter. Engineer the same. We have a new letter from the fire authority. I think you saw it this evening.
I did.
Any problems with it? Any comments?
Let's see what I wrote down. Regards to number one, fire suppression, we're 100%, so that's code, emergency lighting, exit signage.
Location. Was the one,
Yeah,
hydrant, relocate the hydrant?
We did. We relocated
I
that.
had one. So pretty much that works for you?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to go with the fire marshal's letter dated November 9th. Are there any other questions or comments for the applicant? We've got some issues for them to take care of. We've got some buildings moving. We've got some things changing, some landscape plans. Would you like to see them make some adjustments and head on back here? How do you want to handle this?
Seemed to me like they're minor adjustments. I mean, it's a small outbuilding that they're moving. That's probably the biggest one, right? Adjust the landscaping and the parking a bit. It's not a lot. It doesn't seem like a lot.
I think the landscaping's a big thing for Sue.
Well, you know, if you've got, with the department, if they can handle it, I mean, we know the intent, that could work out.
Okay.
We'd be happy to work and
Yeah.
show the landscaping to Commissioner Grissom and work with her through that, if that's something you wanted to do. Approve it with conditions subject to Commissioner Grissom reviewing the landscape plan before it proceeds to construction.
We're moving the parking lot a bit, we're changing the setbacks on the sides. I mean, we're tweaking here and there.
We'll comply with what we've talked about.
It's all clear, it's just making sure it all gets checked. If you guys can do that, you guys decide.
What's the comfort zone with that? You comfortable, Joe? Are you comfortable?
Yeah.
And I've already heard a yes over here. So is there any other discussion? Anything anybody else would like to bring up? All the changes we talked about are in our minutes. You've got
Yeah,
your
you've
notes.
got
I'm sure
records.
you've done this before. You know what to do.
Correct.
If you are so inclined, then, we do have a motion at the top of packet page number 26. I just ask that you add the acceptance of the architectural waiver dated October 12th, 2017 to your motion. So we're ready for that if you are.
Okay, move to approve site plan with special land use application 17-016, a request to construct a one-story nursing home, Bella Vita, approximately 41,500 square feet in size. Approval is subject to the following conditions. Approval of the special land use by the Township Board of Trustees. The applicant shall adequately address the outstanding items noted in the Planning Department's memorandum dated November 9th, 2017 on the construction plan set, subject to an administrative review by the planning staff prior to the issuance of the land use permit. Should we put including review by Sue?
Yeah, I would.
Including the review, Sue Grissom, on the landscaping plan. The applicant shall secure all applicable permits and licenses from the state for the nursing care facility and shall properly maintain all such permits and licenses. Applicants complies with any requirements of the Department of Public Works Director, Township Engineer, Consultant in Hartland, Deerfield Fire Authority, from his letter November 13th, 2017. And then approve the architectural waiver request dated October 12th, 2017.
Support that.
Okay, we have a motion to approve site plan application number 17-016 with conditions from Commissioner Voigt, a second from Commissioner Newsom. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Congratulations, and thank you for coming to Hartland.
Thank you.
Now, when will this be placed on the board agenda? Special use?
Well, you have a meeting,
We have a
agenda
meeting
just
next week.
went out, so we couldn't get on that, so it'll be the next one in December.
So it'll be the first Tuesday in December.
Yeah.
Do we need to be present for that?
It's always advisable, just in case there's questions. It's not anticipated there'll be a lot of discussion at the board meeting, but just in case, if somebody had a question, that somebody could be there to answer so that the board doesn't postpone it.
You probably don't need your whole entourage, but although Grand Blanc isn't very far. Thank you again very much. Next up is item A, our 2018 Planning Commission meeting calendar, and staff took the initiative to put this together for us. It's followed the same criteria that we've used in the past, our second and fourth Thursdays, and then bumped up November and December, up into the first and the third to avoid the holiday collision that would occur on those dates. So if we're so inclined, we've got the calendar in front of us, and we just need a motion to accept our meeting calendar for 2018.
So moved.
Support.
Motion from Commissioner Claney, second from Commissioner Newsom. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item 9, call of the public. Anyone? All right, we'll close item 9, call of the public. Planners report. Troy, do you have anything?
I just want to let you know that the Ordinance Review Committee is moving forward on landscape amendments. and also we've met and discussed the other topics, and so those will all be, they're all in the works, but the landscape one we're tackling first, and that's a big one, so it's underway.
Good deal. Thank you very much. Committee reports, comments, anybody, anything? I need a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Support.
Motion from Newsom, second from Kalini. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Good night.